The Expansion Zone with Sonia Barrett.
Everybody's talking about consciousness. Everybody wants that eternal kiss. Yeah, everyone's saying there's more than this. Everyone wants to follow their own bliss. Talking about one love, one blood, one light in everyone. One light, give each other. We are sisters and brothers. We sing Om.
On the Expansion Zone, we examine life and our quest to understand who and what we are and of the vastness of human potentials. We explore the making of our world from quantum physics to parapsychology, health, sociology, and philosophy, along with practical living. You are reminded of the possibilities in creating personal change. So for an hour, we'll stimulate and expand the mind.
Shanti, 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 shanti. Sing the world. Let's do it together. Shanti, 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 shanti. It's time to wake up. Shanti, shanti, to a brighter day. Realize that shanti, shanti, love is a way. Shanti, 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 shanti.
Well, welcome once again to another edition of The Expansion Zone with Sonia Barrett. Of course, I'm your host, Sonia Barrett, and thank you once again for joining me on this Monday. It is definitely Monday because that's when the show airs, is on Mondays at 1 p.m., as you well know. And, of course, I'm going to start things off with another Monday quote. This one is very short and sweet, actually, and it says, "Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can." And that's by Arthur Ashe. And I'm going to elaborate on that for just a minute or two in a moment. But also a reminder that to please remember that your support of this show and KPFK is greatly appreciated. Being able to present to you an assortment of information, for me anyway, is very gratifying. I also realize that this only happens because there is a staff of folks that ensure that all of these shows are broadcast as seamlessly as possible. So if you would like to assist by becoming a monthly sustainer of this show, of the station, by donating an amount that is comfortable for you, then please, by all means, either call 818-985-5735, or you can visit kpfk.org and you can do it there as well. Or if you have questions about donating, also the same number, 818-985-5735, and you can speak with someone there and they will let you know. All right. I thank you so much for continuing to support us particularly during this time, this pandemic. Well, today's topic is it's much more than this, but right now this is what we're saying is the topic. It's about time anomalies and time shifts, and of course much more. So it's going to be really interesting. And you know, of course, how much I love interesting. That's what I do. If it's not real interesting, I'm not real interested. We have to always push the envelope. This is why we're here, as far as I'm concerned. And of course, the guest to really tackle all of these subject matters is Starfire Tor, who is a scientist and time anomaly expert. Now, regarding that quote, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Well, I think often we spend time focusing on the deficit and basically, in other words, we focus on what we don't have in order to initiate a project or an idea. And I think a lot of people are familiar with that. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do it just as soon as. There's always this just as soon as. But I have always simply just went ahead and just begin. From whatever point, wherever I am, I just begin there. And I say that to you, whatever point you can, and somehow things begin to unfold for each next level of producing that dream or that idea. That has been my experience, and I have been operating that way. So I just don't sit and think, well, I can't do it. I start even if it's just making a list, even if it's just there. And of course, life is a profound science that allows us to swim in this ocean of potentials. So just start, even if it begins with simply making that list. It's a way to engage with this field of possibilities. All right. So going on to the bio of my guest, Starfire Tor is a scientist, time anomaly expert, paranormal and UFO researcher, psychic visionary, writer, producer, composer, singer, and a scholar of hidden and forbidden knowledge. Starfire Tor discovered time shifts, the time shift effect, the core matrix, coexisting timelines, timeline edits, and the unified field theory of psi, the science behind everything paranormal and psychic. By extension of this research, Starfire Tor also discovered and developed the psi workshops of reality shift manifestation and the astral tagging truth reveal. She has successfully deployed these life-saving science systems through a number of international groups. And we could go on, but I will say this: Starfire Tor has been a guest on many radio and television shows, including the Discovery Channel, the History Channel, Coast to Coast AM with George Noory, and of course Art Bell, and many, many more. And her website is starfiretor.com. So, Starfire, without further ado, welcome to the Expansion Zone.
Thank you, Sonia.
Yes, it's been a while since we've connected. I've had the pleasure of actually connecting and meeting Starfire some years back. Would you believe it was 2003, I believe. It was far back. It was a while back. And really enjoyed the conversations and some of the things that we were able to participate in Starfire's experiment, which maybe it may come up that we did with her some time back. But anyway, so Starfire, where should we begin with this? What would you like to begin with? You talk about the Amazon forest mission and the Australia rain mission and just the 4 series that you're really, I think, working with at this time with other people.
Right. Well, first of all, I do want to say how much I've always enjoyed your company and your mind. And so it's very enjoyable for me to come and talk with you now about very much an extension of the research I was doing at the time that I met you and that you sort of participated in one of my experiments for reality shift manifestation. Anyway, one of the things that I've been doing as an extension of my discoveries of the core matrix and time shifts and coexisting timelines, which I'll explain later, is there is a natural brain function that is the interface to the core matrix, which I kind of explain as a universal hard drive. And all of our many timelines stream from this core matrix. Now, these timelines are coexisting, not parallel. Parallel means that they're running side by side. But timelines are really, as I discovered, exist in the same space, but are separated by their individual frequencies. And this is very important to understand because this is where psychic phenomenon, occult phenomenon, supernatural phenomenon, this is where the dreaming brain gets its dreams from. And this is how I was able to extend this knowledge into developing something called reality shift manifestation, which is what you participated in, Sonia, and something called astral tagging truth reveal. Little catchy names for something that's actually something that people do normally. What I discovered was that people have a natural ability to reality shift, not change timelines. That doesn't happen. So when you hear people say, oh, you can jump timelines and you can create whatever timeline you want for yourself, meaning that you've created a new timeline, that's not true. What is true is that people have the natural ability to alter certain localized aspects to the very timeline that we all share, the dominant coexisting timeline, and they can reality shift some of the aspects in their life, but only under one condition, because this is a science. If this ability or condition exists for them in some already existing coexisting timeline, they can copy, such as you would on a document if you were working in a document program and you're writing something, or if you're on the internet and you want to save some text, you can copy it, and then you can paste it into, say, a document, into the bar, into many things. Well, your brain can do the same thing with streaming data, with other coexisting timelines or whatever information is streaming from the core matrix. So the brain in reality shifting can find in other coexisting timelines, and I teach how to do this, that very thing that they want to copy paste into the dominant coexisting timeline where we all exist. And so if it already existed, they have a very good chance of being able to bring that in. It can be healing. It can be learning something. It can be improving one's situation, providing that their own lack of common sense isn't involved in that. A lot of things can be done. I began to expand this, trying to go further and further and further. What can the brain and the core matrix do together? So I was eventually able to do weather modification, healing, as I said, and changing various aspects of not just what's going on in my world, but the world itself. I began to experiment with weather modification because, well, what happens in the world with the weather really depends on whether someone lives or dies, whether the animals live or die. It wasn't my intent to turn a desert into an oasis, although that is on my list. But I began to start with modifying hot spells by reducing the temperature, say, by 5 to 10 to 15 degrees for an entire week. That was very satisfying. Then I was on Whitley Strieber's Dreamland, and on the air, I did a thing, and I said, well, we're in a heat wave. We're in a drought. There's no rain in sight. Let me try this out. Let me tell the listeners, let me try this out. So this is a matter of record because he recorded it. I said, I'm going to use my reality manifestation weather modification trials and see if I can bring rain in the next 24 hours. And it happened. And it happened. I was thrilled. You know, when I do these things, Sonia, I really don't know if I'm going to be successful or not. Right. Of course, over time that I've experimented again and again and again, I've grown confident, but I've also learned how to know when I can't do something or when I need help. And I progressed far enough that, well, I think you may recall back in 2019, the Amazon rainforest basically was on fire. And, you know, the Amazon rainforest is considered the lungs of the earth. We need it to survive. We need it to breathe. We need it for so many reasons. But not only was the Amazon rainforest on fire, but these fires were created by people. This wasn't nature. This wasn't global warming. This was people burning the Amazon rainforest for their own purpose. Some of them were small farmers trying to make a go of it, but a lot of it was large corporations clearing the land for their farms, their cattle ranches, their mining operations, ruining the water, taking away the oxygen that we need, that the rainforest was making. Anyway, I don't know whether people know this, but the Amazon rainforest is huge. It goes across many, many countries, including Brazil. And it's like, if you took the Amazon rainforest, it's about the size of the continental United States. It's huge.
That's pretty huge.
Sonia, I had never, ever in my life created or reality shifted rain on anything that massive. I didn't think I could do it alone. I needed hundreds of other minds, brains, to do it with me. But it also meant that I had to teach it. Now, so I was watching about the Amazon rainforest fires, and a friend of mine contacted me and said, in fact, she put it on my Facebook page, and she said, her name is Karen, and she said, well, why don't you do your reality shift manifestation weather protocols to make it rain in the Amazon? I mean, so now I was confronted with an actual request, and it was a public one. And then a lot of people were saying to me, well, do something.
Do something.
The big shot with who can make rain, do something.
Yeah, exactly. Put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly. And, so I did my own personal little psi search. I call them psi data downloads to see whether or not such a thing was even possible. Sonia, I saw that it was. And I got back to Karen. Ellington is her last name. And I said, okay, it can be done. But I need hundreds of people. And she says, well, that's no problem. Let's start a Facebook group just for that, and let's get it done. And lickety split, she created this Facebook group page, and we called it the Amazon Rainforest Mission. And it opened up in late August of 2019. Now, and then we started to invite people, and I also went on Whitley Strieber's show and talked about it. So we did get, just for this group, we got over 500 or 600 people. Now, here was the big challenge. I knew that it could be done. I'd done it in research with my research group before, but I'd never done anything, like I said, with the Amazon rainforest. I had to teach reality shift manifestation psi working protocols to people all around the world, most of whom I did not know, and for sure they did not know me. But I did also have some people who had done this work with me before, They were in the group too. And with the help of my webmaster, Sherry Lorraine, very important part of what I do, by the way, I was able to create in writing on my website the teachings of reality shift manifestation specifically written for the Amazon rainforest mission. Now, at the time that there was this great fire in the Amazon, it also was the Amazon dry season. So basically, no rain in sight, not for months. And so the expectation by the experts and all the news media reported this, it's going to get worse. The fires are going to get worse and worse and worse. Okay. But I was ready. And this group of believers and people willing to trust me did exactly what I asked them to do. We launched Sonia. I'm so proud of that group.
I bet.
Because within hours, the rain began to fall in the Amazon.
Wow.
But I had a plan. Now remember, this isn't just, even though I'm the designer of it, it's my brain and knowledge that sort of organizes it, but without this group of people, I could not have done it by myself. I might have been able to bring a little rain in one little area of the Amazon, but believe me, that was not going to stop this blaze, this out of control, raging fire. So the plan that I put together after studying the rainforest prior to this launch was that all rainforests, including the Amazon, can create its own rain system if the right atmospheric conditions are in place. Now, the rainy season was, I said, months away, but my plan, my brilliant plan, was to keep the rain going until the Amazon actually started its own rainy season. Sonia, that's exactly what we did.
Wow, powerful.
Almost daily, it was raining somewhere on a fire in the Amazon rainforest. And in a very short period of time, even the news media, and I've kept all the documentation, the news media referred to this rain as a miracle. Of course, we in the group knew that it was not a miracle. The miracle was pulling the group together.
Right.
But this was science.
Absolutely.
I was dealing with a science.
You got the codes right.
Yeah, I do. So I was like I said, I was so proud of this group. And I am telling you, we kept that rain going for all the months until the Amazon rainy season kicked in and took over. And I will also say that very shortly into the rain that we were bringing, not only did they call this rain, the experts and the news media called it a miracle rain, but very shortly after we began, they said that this rain that nobody ever thought would exist in the middle of the dry season reduced these fires, depending on where in the Amazon rainforest they were happening, between 35% and 55% until it became almost total percent. We did have a problem though, because after the rain would fall, the fires would go out, people on the ground would start new fires.
Oh.
So
No.
This was very, very frustrating, and the mismanagement of the Amazon rainforest became very obvious to us. So I started to do something to be able to spot rain. Say, okay, well, here's new fire started over here, so we would have the rain fall in those specific areas. So this group got very good at doing that. So like I said, I'm very proud of these people, and the world doesn't really understand what we did. They don't need to know. They're going to know now. But,
right.
but but this is what we did. I really didn't, aside from Gary, aside from bringing people into the group, Karen and I really didn't want to advertise this. We just wanted to just let people in the psi community know that if they wanted to be part of this, they were welcome. But we didn't really want the world to know what we were doing. First of all, it wouldn't be believed.
Right.
We didn't need any negative thinking anywhere out there. We knew what we were doing. And look, from day one, it could have failed. I was willing, and everyone else in that group was willing for it to work or fail. But we all put the energy into, this is going to work because this is a proven science. Reality shift, manifestation, weather modification is proven. And I'll also say one more thing about this group, and something that I've learned as I've moved along in my work with this type of science. There are people all throughout history who can create rain. It's not a new phenomenon. There are groups of people who can. There are tribes of Native Americans and Native people from all over the world who have very specific rituals that they do that can bring rain. What I discovered was that regardless of the ritual, they are all unknowingly accessing a reality shift manifestation psi protocol. The rites that they do just help them to get in the mood, to rev it up, and to connect with whatever their soul and their brain needs to connect with to make that happen. So I didn't create the ability to bring rain. I discovered the science of how to do it on cue. And as any good science, you have to be able to repeat the same experiment over and over and over again until you can claim that's a science. And that's what I did. So I'm happy about that. What do you think?
Oh, I love it.
It's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. And yes, you're right. There's so many tribes. I think we're probably most familiar with, because of movies, rainmakers, Native American, rainmakers. But in the end, yes, it's all a science, and it's that realization and tapping into something else. And it's like these codes that are being used or activated without them knowing exactly what it is through the rituals, the rhythm of the rituals. But so is this then, are we dealing with what you said in the very beginning, coexisting timelines? I know we're not talking, okay, so it's moving, I'm going to use the word, is that what's happening? Is that what you're saying, stepping into or copying?
Well, I'll explain it. And right, that's the right question. Because we exist in multiple coexisting timelines at the same time, but the core matrix has what I call an assimilation program. See, our brains, which are vast, cannot possibly handle the details and the memories of thousands of different versions of the same timeline. Can't do it. So the core matrix creates this program where our memories of existing in pre-coexisting timelines is shelved. It's still in our brains, but it's locked away. And we are all only consciously aware of the current dominant coexisting timeline. Now, the core matrix enacts timeline changes all the time. And these changes, although they're not supposed to be noticed by our brains, by our conscious selves, there are glitches in that program. And so we do remember odd things in this world that, like, let's say you live on a certain street. You've traveled that street thousands of times. You know it by heart. And yet one day you go down that street, and where there used to be a house, there's now a barn. And it's obviously been there a long time. How did that happen? You know you're not crazy. You bring over a friend. They go, what's wrong? You go, there used to be a house there. Now there's a barn. They go, no, there hasn't. There's always been a barn there. But you know for sure. There was a house, and now there's a barn. You know that, but the other person doesn't. This happens again and again and again. It can be something as small as the color of a favorite shirt or the color of a couch suddenly is different than it was a moment ago. Your brain has not failed you. This is a dual, no, it is a dual timeline memory conflict. Something in your brain has remembered a fragment of the previous coexisting timeline, and then when it was changed, I mean, it wasn't changed so that your couch color could change. It's just that the series of domino effects, when a timeline is changed, it affected the color of your couch. But if the program to keep your brain in thinking that there's only one timeline, there's a past, a present, and a future, that's what the core matrix wants humans to believe. It's not true.
Absolutely.
Right. This is something that we talked about a long time ago, and I know that you fully understand that. It's just simply not true. So, and then there's another thing that happens. Let's say someone dies, and you remember that they died, but there they are alive. What the heck is that all about?
Oh, yeah. I've seen that happen just even recently.
Really?
Oh, yeah. With and I asked other people, a couple of other people that I knew, I said, wait a second, didn't this person die? Didn't we hear this? And they go, yeah, I thought it was just me.
Who was it?
Actually, as a celebrity was, I'm going to say little Richard.
Yeah. If you go to my Facebook page, you will see I wrote that up.
Which one?
Little Richard.
You did? See, I had no idea.
Yeah. Okay. Now, okay. That's great. Okay. Now here's the thing. I discovered this phenomenon. I call it a time shift effect. Okay. Time shift effects are time shift markers. It tells you that we've had an alteration of the timeline. Okay. And it's just like the dual timeline memory conflict, whether someone's alive or dead, a building has changed or not changed, or couch colors changed or not changed. Lots of things come and go. But if there's a glitch and your brain can remember some fragment, well, in your case, you remembered that little Richard had died before, right? Mm-hmm. And suddenly there he is dying again. You go, what? And lots of people have this memory. Now, on my webpage for years and years and years, I have written about the time shift living dead. I've explained it as a coexisting timeline phenomenon, just as we're discussing now. And for many, many years, I created portals that people from all over the world could report to me, independent of each other, not knowing each other, anytime they came across any timeline memory conflict. And this also meant people and animals too. Now, generally, I talk about famous people who are time shift living dead because there are more brains that know that famous people are alive than they do just people in their own orbit. Listen, it doesn't matter whether one person knows you, nobody knows you, or 8 million people know you. You can still be a time shift living dead person, but for the purposes of research and teaching people about the phenomenon, I use well-known people because they're known. So
They can identify something. It's right. Mhm.
Right. So I just wanted them to know it's not just famous people. That would be sort of silly.
Starfire.
Yep.
I always hate when I have to stop a great conversation. We have to take a break. And when we come back, we can go ahead and tackle the rest of this because this is absolutely fascinating. So please stay tuned and we'll be right back after this brief message. And we are back. And of course, you are listening to the Expansion Zone on KPFK 90.7 FM in Southern California and streaming live at kpfk.org. And of course, we're chatting with my guest, Starfire Tor, and this is a fascinating conversation. We're talking about time shifts, coexisting timelines, and let me tell you, folks, reality is so much more profound than what we've been sold and what we've been told. So really just kind of tune in and let that part of you start tapping into it and going, wait a second, I'm really feeling some of this stuff. So, all right. So Starfire, do we want to lead into just tapping into the Mandela effect just a little bit? Right. Seeing that it sort of all dovetails into that,
right,
to some degree.
Well, as you know, Sonia, I was the person who was doing the research, discovered this, and I was the person who went public with Nelson Mandela being a time shift living dead person. Not only that, but I explained the science behind it. Art Bell was in my research group. He knew about it. He brought it to the attention of the public in a sort of a strange way, but he didn't ask my permission, but he did it. And eventually we did get together and talked about it on his show, Coast to Coast. I just want to say that the Mandela effect is a hijacking of my personal research, and it does a great disservice to those people who are so attracted to the topic of altering events in timelines, including people who are alive and dead and alive and dead again. I want to invite those interested in the corrupt Mandela effect. They are not getting the truth. They are not getting reality. I do know the science of it. I know how it works. I am the scientist who discovered it, and I want people to be talking about it. I want people to learn the truth. I want them to have groups and meetings and all sorts of things. Please, it's called the time shift effect. And as a matter of fact, Karen and I have started a new podcast. We haven't done our first episode yet. It's called The Time Chronicles. It's on YouTube. Come on over, everybody, and subscribe. And we're going to drop our first show pretty soon, and you're going to learn the science and all about it. So, okay.
Sounds
so
good.
Move on from that.
Absolutely. It sounds great. Now, what we've been talking about, I know there's somebody out there that's wondering, now, how does this relate? We're talking coexisting timelines. How does this relate then to Schrodinger's cat? I mean, is the cat dead or alive? Okay, so I figure I'd bring that up because I know it's the idea. You know what I mean? The idea, right?
Okay, as a scientist, despite the fact that I've pioneered all of these discoveries, no scientist worth their salt is living in a bubble. I studied everyone else's work who came before me, including Einstein. But, these theories, Schrodinger's cat and the grandfather paradox, all of these things are wonderful theories, but I disprove them all. They're disproved because, again, we are in coexisting timelines, not parallel timelines, and people, not even groups of people, not even extraterrestrials with their advanced technology, can create new timelines. They can't. This is only from the core matrix, and the brain, as I said, is the interface to the core matrix. This is all happening through our brains, and this is not a virtual world either. It's quite real, quite physical. It's a whole other science. So it's like the grandfather paradox, where you say, well, if you time travel back in time and you kill your grandfather, does that mean you're not going to be born? Well, if you believe in parallel timelines, yes, that could very possibly be true. But since I've debunked that, like I said, very excellent theory. But when you're dealing with coexisting timelines, when you move around in timelines, if you were a time traveler and could do that, time travel is real, both through the brain and physically. When you go back, you can never travel back or forward into the coexisting timeline from which you departed. So you'd be traveling to a different coexisting timeline. So whatever happens there, you're really not impacting yourself in the dominant coexisting timeline. Therefore, if you went back in time and accidentally your grandfather died, more than likely you would still probably be existing in the coexisting timeline from where you came.
Right.
But it might affect something about your life. It might alter it. You don't know. It's just that the grandfather paradox is not a done deal. These are the things that I discovered.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I would love to also talk about these three other groups, these wonderful other groups that I have on Facebook with Karen. And the next one is the Australian Rain Mission. What happened is when I was doing when Karen and I were doing the Amazon Rainforest mission, near the end of it, Australia caught on fire. And I was getting a lot of well-intentioned pressure, Karen and I were, to start a group to make it rain all over the Australian fires. And my heart was tugging at that, but I only had the focused energy to do one huge deal. I was very concerned that if I took my attention, my focus off of the Amazon, that there would be a failure there and the fires would not be completely put out. So I had to make an executive decision with Karen that we were going to wait until the Amazon rainforest picked up its own rainy season. So that's how it was. And on December the 24th of 2019, we started the Australia Rain Mission. And I have to tell you, again, a great group of people I'm so proud of. We did reality shift, manifestation, weather modification. Some of the people from the Amazon rainforest are now part of the Australia Rain Mission. And just like we did in the Amazon, we caused rain and rain and rain and rain again and again and again for a very long period of time. And also the news also did the same thing, miracle rain, but we knew better. We knew what it was. We were just so happy to be able to bring this rain onto the fires. And it had been a drought for years in Australia when we came onto the scene. And yet, hours after we launched the first reality shift manifestation weather modification protocol, the rain began to fall in Australia, and it has not stopped since. Maybe a week stoppage here and there, but
it's been consistent.
It's been very consistent, and we put the rain out and filled all of the rivers, dams, and waterways with water. They had a drought. They were gone. The water was gone. Unfortunately, did have a few floods, but I couldn't help that.
Right. Now,
and
go ahead.
Yeah. So this group, the Australia group, was even more detailed than the Amazon, because, for example, we would have this wide swath of rain come in an area, then a member on the ground who lives in Australia would say, yeah, but this farmstead is desperate and the rain missed the farm. So I was able to say, hey, group, this farm needs our rain, and I would quickly create a special reality shift manifestation work just for that farm. And within 24 hours, what do you think? Rain on that farm. It was great. I can't tell you how proud I was of these people. Again, I couldn't do it by myself. But with this group of people, and now there were twice as many people in the Australia group as there were in the Amazon group. We weren't advertising it. It was just word of mouth. So, okay. So we got the fires out in Australia, filled up their water basins, and gave them a leg up on working their way out of the drought. And then came the coronavirus pandemic. There was no rest for the weary here. Something we're all experiencing, but right from the get-go, Sonia, it's like it seemed to be lie after lie after lie. What was going on? Karen and I talked it over, and I said, you know what? We ought to get a group going, but not reality shift manifestation. No, this requires another of my psi protocols called Astral Tagging Truth Reveal. Basically, it's a little catchy name that I put together for a psi protocol where I can focus in on an event, and I can like put this psi energy ball, a sphere, right on top of that event. I can trail it to where it is on the map. And from there, like a detective, it spreads out and it finds the truth, a truth reveal. Here's the event, in this case, the starting point of the coronavirus COVID-19, okay? And it did turn out to be that Wuhan lab and associates. And this energy spreads out and follows the trail who's ever involved in that event, that their identity, their information, all of this information and documentation not only becomes known to the group, but becomes known to the world. So we're just working behind the scenes here, and all this information is coming out to the world. It's all documented inside of the group, and this group is still hot. It's still going. Anyone who wants to can join it on Facebook, the coronavirus mission. And we've done a lot of great work. It is a disinformation-free zone. And in fact, we debunk a lot of the disinformation. And that includes a lot that poor Dr. Fauci, he never knows what's coming and what's going. We've gotten through all of that. So I'm very proud of this group, which brings me to the last one, Sonia, which is called Operation Warriors of Light. This is such an important group, Sonia, because what I'm going to do with Karen, using my reality shift manifestation protocols, is I intend with this group to change the balance of power in the world peacefully, but powerfully, to getting rid of the corrupt people who use agendas, who use people to forward their own agendas, who use pandemics to forward their own agendas that have nothing to do with it, the bad guys. And there's a way to do it. I've worked it out. If we're successful, and I believe we will be, we're going to do something so wonderful for this planet. It's almost incalculable how great it's going to be. Now, a wonderful thing about reality shift manifestation, Sonia, and I think this is important for everyone to understand, this does not mess with anybody's free will. In fact, it's just the opposite. Because what it's going to do is going to cut right through a lot of the brainwashing programming from a lot of disinformation that's come across the world, particularly in the United States and other countries where freedom is not cherished at all by the rulers. So what we want to do is give people real information. We want to give them their free will back. We want to break the chain. We want to shatter the chain of brainwashing, all through reality shift manifestation. And, you know, in this time on our planet, in the United States, this is needed more than ever. It's desperate. That's all I need to say.
Oh yeah, well well, you said a lot. Well, yeah, I mean, this is big things that we're talking about, because considering the state of the planet at this time.
Right.
But what I'd like to ask you is this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we're talking about coexisting timelines, and of course it's did I say that right? What did I just say?
I don't know.
Coexisting timeline.
I was listening hard.
But so in a coexisting timeline, then is it not raining in the rainforest?
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I should have answered that first. I got
right. That's what I
got off the track there. Okay. The way that it works is I have to connect through my brain, the interface with the core matrix. I have to find other coexisting timelines where it's raining there where I want it to. Right. Not raining anywhere in the world. I have to find rain specifically in Australia there, or in the Amazon rainforest, or wherever I'm working it. And then when I find that rain, I copy it, and I copy it through my brain. I'm actually transferring it from the core matrix into my brain, which is software.
Right.
And then I envision it raining in Australia or the Amazon or wherever I wanted to. That's pasting it in. So what I've done is I've taken this rain from a coexisting timeline, or maybe 50 different coexisting timelines, copy paste it into where I want it to go, which is, you know, wherever I want it to go. So I can't just make it rain where it doesn't rain. I mean, let me rephrase that. Perhaps one day I will be able to, which is my goal of, you know, where the deserts are now used to be the bottom of the ocean. So it is possible. It is possible to do it, but it's huge. It's bigger than anything I've ever done. And then
the formula you're using.
Yeah, the formula is there, but it's never been tried that big, and it would take a great deal of education and wisdom to be able to terraform a desert into paradise.
But you're working your way up to it. I mean,
I'm trying.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this is what I call our supernatural state, and when I say that, I mean it from a scientific standpoint of a naturalness, a natural abilities that really are there, but they haven't been exercised. And what you're sharing and describing is accessing and accessing those abilities, and being able to share that with this group of people that are in alignment with the goal.
Right. Now, I do want to also say, along the line that you just asked, let's say that someone wants to use reality shift manifestation to bring into their world, let's say, a yacht, a huge ocean-going yacht. Well, in the real world, has that person really worked toward having that yacht? Is that yacht something that's in their world really, or is it just something they want?
Right.
If it's just something they want, but it's really not part of their timeline stream, it's not who they are.
Timeline stream, blueprint.
Yeah, a reality shift manifestation is not going to bring them a yacht.
Not going to work.
It's going to bring them zip, nada, nothing. Right. You know, but if someone, you know, has earned something or has something, and it's in a coexisting timeline, and they discover it is so, it is possible that they can manifest it into their current dominant timeline. It really depends on what it is. Like, how many people want to win the lottery? Lots. But there's only one winner. So you can't use reality shift manifestation just to win a lottery ticket unless you've already done that in a coexisting timeline. So I just tell people, don't go there.
Right.
Don't use it for that. Use it to help people, to heal yourself, to better your world, but not to try to be something that you're not or have things that are really not yours. It's not going to work.
Right. There's so much more that we can talk about, but we've got a couple of minutes left, literally a couple of minutes left. Would you please provide your website? I mentioned it in the very beginning, but your website and anything else, the group information, Facebook, in the next minute that we have.
Okay. It's starfiretor.com. And you can find me on Facebook. I have 2 pages there. Please come to the public fan page. My personal page is full, and I post the exact same thing on both pages, so you're not going to miss a thing. So just put Starfire Tor in the Facebook search engine and come to it'll say fan page, and that would be great. And if you come to the Time Chronicles on YouTube, and you subscribe, you can see all of these links there as well. And you can find them on my website too. That's it.
Awesome. Yes, I think we've covered quite a bit. And of course, everything you've talked about, we could spend another hour expanding on a lot of this information, because
I do enjoy talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because that's it. That's it. So if there's any last thing that you would like to just share with the audience, just to say, if somebody says, man, I really want to.
Well, I've been doing this for a long time, and this just is the tip of the iceberg of my knowledge and what I love to share. I like to teach this to people. And, eventually I hope to be able to write a book about it. I've been working on it for a very long time, Sonia. I just never seem to find the time to finish it. The last thing I want to say is to people, if you're psychic, if you experience the supernatural, if you have wonderful experiences like this, but you've run across people who just don't understand it and want to be, not too polite about it, just remember, you're being normal. It's not abnormal to be psychic. It's not abnormal to like these subject matters. It's absolutely normal. Go with that thought.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I'm all on board for that, because I am Mrs. Outside the Box anyway. So I'm Mrs. It's an outrageous thought. That's what I always say. It's outrageous thinking that we need to do to really break through a lot of the limiting programs that we have.
Outside the box, outside the dimension.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Starfire, for being on the Expansion Zone. And I look forward to doing this again with you in the very, very near future.
I'd love to.
Thank you. And to the listening audience, thank you so much for tuning in. And to our engineer, D'Angelo Jones, thank you so much. And please remember to visit theexpansionzone.com for the archive, for articles, subscribe so that I can update you on whatever is going on, the upcoming guests or previous guests, just all kinds of bits of information. And to find out more about me, do visit therealsoniabarrett.com. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also do the Expansion Zone TV, so please check that out as well. You can see it on YouTube or on theexpansionzone.com. And as always, I like to remind you to live life to its fullest and question everything. Until next time, see you then.
Everybody's talking about consciousness. Everybody wants that eternal kiss. Yeah, everyone's saying there's more than this. Everyone wants to follow their own bliss. Talking about one love, sing